Hello, welcome to Octagon Garage. My name is Robert, and today we have a very rare car, MGB GT V8. Could not get these cars in the United States. They weren't sold here, but they're sold in England. And here's the owner. See if you could tell us.
Hello, my name's Nick, and I'm the fortunate owner of this wonderful car. It's travelled to this country from the UK via New Zealand, where it spent a few years and went under a restoration program. Then the gentleman brought it into the US after the 25-year time period had been reached, and kept it another couple of years, sold it, and then the gentleman I bought it off had it for 10 years following that. So it's a privilege really to have this in the state it's in. It's pretty well original. The only things that have happened to it are they put a Rover STI 5-speed box in to match the Rover 3.5 motor, and increased cooling capacity has been added to the radiator, as well as a larger thermostatically controlled cooling fan. Ceramic heads on there too. So everything else is pretty well as you would expect. We've had the carburetors rebuilt about 5 or 6 weeks ago. It's running really sweet now. Different from the factory spec. One of the upgrades the previous owner did was put leather in there, which is nice, obviously. And it comes with a fabric sunroof, which was quite common back in the day in the UK among GTs and other sedan cars. So that adds another dimension to the car. They get pretty warm, so any ventilation helps. Well, that's about it I can think of at the moment. But we discovered this morning that the reason that this is not attached to this is because you cannot get the part for it's not available for the vacuum advance.
Yeah.
And as it is, it's not. It's damaged.
Yeah. Diaphragm inside is ruptured.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's disconnected.
Yeah.
Yep. The two pusher, there would be 2 yellow pusher fans here,
Yeah.
which have been removed and replaced with this larger diameter fan here. And the radiator is 4 inches deeper than standard, and has had an extra row of cores put in to add to that cooling.
So they went to, let's say, from a 2-core to a 3-core radiator and made it 2 inches taller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That and retaining the stock look.
Exactly.
That really took some mechanical engineering to get that done, because
a lot of thought went into it.
Yeah.
Not just let's get it done and
yeah.
so yep. Oh, one interesting thing is I read the other day that this is and I thought it didn't look silver. It's actually gold emblem.
Yeah.
And I believe that was they put that on a few cars during the MG Jubilee.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. So we've only had the car less than a year, and we're still learning about it.
Always learning about it. Always, I've had my B for 12 years, and there's always little tidbits of things you find. So.
Yes, and even you will hear somebody tell you something that you kind of wondered about, but never really investigated thoroughly, and this is why we come to these meetings like this. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing about Octagon Garage and the channel is the sharing of knowledge.
Yes.
You know, how to work on things, little tidbits of information, little tips and tricks, and how to help, you know, people that are getting into the hobby of British cars. And it's not just MGs, it's all kinds of cars.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's why it's interesting to see all this stuff and go to shows and see what's going on.
Yes. It's well, it's keeping a tradition alive too. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
We can't just let these things fall by the wayside. That's for sure.
No. Do you know what the actual production numbers of these cars were?
They initially they ran 2 batches of them, but the total of cars, as far as I know, was 2,581 cars. That's what I understand. It may be slightly out there, but 6 of them were left-hand drive. They sent 2 of those cars to the US to be evaluated, but they never really planned to market these cars in the US because British Leyland didn't want them to compete with the TR7, TR8, and possibly the Triumph Stag. Which had a V8, a 3-liter V8. They didn't want. I don't think they really wanted to spend the money federalizing the emissions on these cars. They would also possibly run into some kind of issue because these motors were originally a Buick design, and they may have had to pay some kind of a royalty or something.
Yeah.
They already paid money to AC Delco for the. There was a royalty on the alternators in these cars, and it was a wasted opportunity. All these cars were right-hand drive except for 6, as I said.
Yeah.
But basically the car is pretty well original. So many cars have been lost to people who put different body kits on them. It's kind of, you know, these are pretty special cars.
Yeah, they are.
This was all. I'd just like to pay a quick tribute to a gentleman. He's no longer with us in the UK, Ken Costello. He was the fellow that actually, in his mind, set out to do this Rover V8 transplant to the MGB. He came across these Buick motors, and the weight was actually pretty well the same as the cast iron 4-cylinder block that the MGB was using. There might have been like 40 pounds difference, but this was a huge difference to how the MGC, which had the 6-cylinder cast block, and affected the steering. So Ken, he proved the British Leyland engineers wrong. They said it could not be done, but Ken proved them right, and he did about 250 to 300 conversions for private people who took their 4-cylinder cars to him, paid him some money and said, put that V8 in here, sir. And I've been lucky enough to see one or two of those cars in the UK in my youth. Of course, never had the money. And so ultimately Leyland invited Mr. Costello to bring one of his cars up to the factory for evaluation, and they kept it for a couple of weeks and they went through it, and I think it caused kind of an embarrassment for the engineers because it was proven that it could be done, and ultimately that's when British Leyland kicked in and decided to start their V8 production themselves, and as a result they could not produce enough Rover V8 motors, and Ken Costello was put in a position of being cut off from the motor supply. In order to then get motors, he had to provide the old one. So he was an astute kind of guy. He discovered old Buick motors in Europe, which which he then kind of rebuilt and used them. But the Rover V8 production was stretched. After all, you see, they went to the Range Rover, they went to the Rover sedan, they went to Morgan Plus 8s and TVR, and perhaps one or two other kit car manufacturers. So it was anyway. So Ken really kind of dropped out of the conversion market, and he was a racer. So he raced cars, saloon cars, and he was an engineer in the true sense of the word. And he went on to develop gearboxes. And but as I say, sadly, he's no longer with us. But we owe a great deal to Ken for these cars, because without him they wouldn't exist.
And he was the father of the V8 movement for MG and MGBs, and he pioneered the way.
He was he was the Carroll Shelby in the UK.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
And but he never really got the praise.
Yeah,
unfortunately. But
they ought to make a movie.
They ought to. They ought to. So these the V8 cars. There was very little to tell the difference between the V8 car externally. If you purchased a vehicle, you basically only had a set of unique wheels. These were the strongest wheels MG ever put on their cars, and they were exclusive to the V8. The Jubilee GT also shared these wheels, but they were finished in a gold.
Yeah.
And they were also used on a vehicle produced by Reliant, another British manufacturer, on a model called the Scimitar. So you've got a set of 4 very nice wheels, or 5 if you include the spare, and you've got between 2 and 3 V8 badges for your money.
Yeah, these wheels. I mean, let's take a look at those real quick. But they are just, I would love to have a set for my MGB, but they are just absolutely stunning. And then the engineering that went into them too, because they are a 2-piece wheel. You've got the outer rim and then the inner part.
It's riveted on, apparently.
Yeah.
But if you've ever any doubt whether a car's a genuine V8, you just look at the wheels.
Yeah.
And they're 14-inch wheels, which is pretty standard.
Yeah. And you got the splash guards.
Yes.
You know, and I put a set of splash guards on my car too. Wow, what a difference! I mean, it's well worth the time and money to do. And so the interior on this car is just absolutely gorgeous. Of course, steel dash. You know, just the standard gauges, but the green kind of slate color leather interior of the seats, just beautiful. Whoever in New Zealand did this really did a phenomenal job with that.
Absolutely, yes. I'm just glad I didn't have to pay for it. But I certainly appreciate it.
But black, it's got the GT logo like the other ones do, and green carpet interior, all really nicely done. But just a gorgeous car, and something you don't see every day. I think out of the 12-13 years I've been messing around with MGs, this is the fourth or fifth one, and there's 2 of them here at the show. But very nice. Here's another angle from the, well, over here would be the driver's side, but it's the passenger side for the right-hand drive car. And also a Leyland badge with the V8 logo in gold, like the front badge, and in black, that is just done It's beautiful.
It's just black and chrome, really, and
Yeah.
it's very minimalistic, if you like. It could have been a lot busier,
Oh yeah.
but it's just, I think it just hits the spot.
And the top also is something you don't see every day here in the United States. They're quite popular in England. You know, when it's not raining, you can quickly open the top and get a little extra ventilation. You know, I hear the sun doesn't come out in England very often.
It can stay hidden for weeks.
And then when it's inclement outside, you can close it. And there's something interesting.
It's a weather shield.
Weather shield, yeah.
Which is, there were obviously several companies that made these folding roofs. The one that you always hear of is. This is having a senior moment.
The name escapes me too.
It'll come to me. But they were present on more expensive models too. The E-Type, I saw one just last weekend with a folding roof. Weather Shield, no, that's this one. But they were quite common.
Yeah.
And sedan cars too, Rover sedans, Triumphs, and even Silver Shadows I've seen with these kind of folding roofs. So they weren't something that people. They were a worthwhile option for some people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of that company.
That's all right. But you know, it really would make a big difference, you know, with the airflow in the car, because they do get a little warm on the inside, and it's got the little wind deflector here, tinted also, plexiglass, very nice. So not only a rare car, but a rare top here in the United States. So they're just an absolute gorgeous car. Out of Springfield, Missouri. The gentleman, meet him at the show, and he lives, what, 4 or 5 miles from me?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I mean, just literally down the road. So who would have ever known? Just get a couple good closer shots of the engine before we end the video. But dual HIF 6 carburetors. I was corrected by the owner last night. I thought they were HIF 8s, but they're 6s. And the pedal box, of course, on the right side. But just absolutely gorgeous. So, anyway, till next time, you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.